Mr. Dhaval Shah. It will be really very helpful and inspiring to everyone, and that is what we have invited. He has agreed. So thank you, Dhaval Bhai, for being here with us. And friends, the way we have structured this youth hierarchy, we have group discussion immediately after this session. I request everyone to participate. The case studies which has been designed in this group discussion are the real case studies. If you have faced some issues after say 3 years, 4 years in your career, and you are confused what to and how to go ahead, so all those are covered in this case study. So I request everyone to have a participation in the group discussion, and tomorrow the chairman will actually enlighten us with what are the solutions if you are confused in the professional career. After again tomorrow evening we have a session on this flourish with friends, and this is a CVOCS platform, the networking, how it happens and how one can actually flourish with the networking and with the friends. So that will be taken up by our past president Atul Bheda, and followed by that we have board games participation, and that also will be very fun, and everyone will be getting networking with each other along with this board gaming. And then we also have the session on the last day, which is also shared with all of you. So please be participative and take the maximum benefit of what this youth hierarchy the committee has organized. I wish you all the best. You can stay in touch with the coordinators if you find any difficulty for joining, and we will have a breakout sessions. So please stay. We have a skit competition also. So please be participative in everything. You will really enjoy. And the last RRC's experience, still the continuing groups are there, and everyone is actually enjoying. So friends, I wish you all the best, and I am sure you will be gaining a lot. Will be lot of value addition with this RRC. So stay connected, and thank you very much for enrolling, and I wish you a happy learning in this youth RRC. Thank you. I request CA Champak Dedia, who is a chairman of the committee, to take and share his words of wisdom. Champak Bhai is there? So I request now Paras to take it further. Paras is a... Yeah.
Hello. Yeah.
Yeah, Paras is a co-convener of this youth committee, and he has put lot of efforts for reaching out to you all. Over to Paras.
Yeah, thank you, Preeti. Now, before we start the session, I would request Dharmi to introduce Dhaval. Dharmi. Dharmi, are you there?
No, Dharmi is not there. I think she logged off. She was there.
Okay.
Because of this network issues, lot of things are going haywire sometimes, So I request Paras, you only to introduce our, chief guest, Mr. Dhaval Shah.
Yeah, sure. So I think Dhaval Shah, he doesn't require any introduction. Then too, I will share few things about him. He has done his MBBS, and thereafter he has he has done his MBBS and from Rajiv Gandhi Government Medical College, and MBA from XLRI Jamshedpur, and he is a alumni there. He has consulted client across the various domains during his McKinsey journey, as he consulted as a consultant. He's a co-founder of PharmEasy and India's first e-pharmacy unicorn. And he has also featured in the Forbes 30 as well as Forbes 40 uh, list. So, with this brief introduction, I welcome Dhaval.
Hi,
Thank you.
hi everybody. Thank you so much for having me here. Yeah. Thank you, Paras.
Now before we hand over the mic to Dhaval, I request Nirali to present in the momento.
Dhaval bhai, it is an honor for us to have you in our RRC, Youth RRC. This RRC is specifically made for young bloods, and I think you are the right person to guide them. On behalf of CVO, Chartered and Cost Accountants Association, I give you a virtual shield. This shield will come physically to you maybe in due course. Please accept this as a mark of our love and affection. Thank you so much, Dhaval bhai, to having you here.
Hey, just curious. So when you say RRC, this is a residential refresher course. It's like compulsory. क्या उसके बिना degree चला जाता है? I mean,
No, it's not compulsory.
what?
As such. So what happens, generally this kind of program happens in some outside Bombay where we stay, we learn for
अच्छा.
3-4 days. But
The
because
rest,
of,
yeah.
But it's not compulsory as a part of the course, right?
no, it is not compulsory. But it's it's a
As doctors,
dedicated
you have to
program
be.
to learn things basically. It's not that we only for purpose of studies and all that. That is why it is a refresher course.
So mainly your session is for inspiring everyone.
Correct.
Got it.
So you can stop sharing screen.
Yeah. So I think Dhaval bhai, now floor is I think all is yours. So looking forward for a lot of thoughts on this.
Yeah, no, I think thank you so much for having me here. As I said, I really love CAs and really respect the work that you guys do. And please, I'm being very transparent. There are two reasons for this. One reason being, I find accounts very drab and very boring. मतलब मुझे अगर कोई audit दे दे, तो I'll be like, boss, मतलब मैं तो नौकरी छोड़ दूँ. So I think one, I really respect the effort with which you guys do it and do it with so much passion. So that's one. Number two, मुझे like honestly समझता नहीं है. So even my CA also tells me, boss, you are you are so terrible at your own accounts. How do you even manage? I am so sure that I've paid extra tax every year to the government just because I didn't understand and मैंने बोला भाई जो भी है भर दो. So I tell this to everybody. So I have a lot of lawyers in the family. I have a lot of doctors in the family. Like now, I don't have CAs in the family. मैं सबको बोलता हूँ CA बनो यार, please मेरा पैसा बचाओ. So I think everybody should have these three professionals who they know in their life. एक डॉक्टर होना चाहिए, एक लॉयर होना चाहिए और एक सीए होना चाहिए. I think ये तीन लोग always काम आते हैं. So glad to be here. I hope you guys help me on this in the future. So I and Paras spoke the other day, I think. So while I'm absolutely, I'll just start with a brief introduction and what is it that we do, how did it all come about. But I think it will be better, and I would prefer it that way. If at all, if there are questions that everybody has, I'm more than happy to take those. Because I think beyond the point, it will otherwise become very. It will become. I don't want people to lose context. So, just as a background, so I did my MBBS. Realized it's not something that I wanted to do in the first place. That's what I did my MBA. Went to Excel. Spent some amazing 2 years over there. Post which got picked up by McKinsey and Company. So it's a strategy consulting company that works across the globe. Did some strategy work across the length and breadth of the country and also abroad. It was for 2 years. I think fantastic 2 years. I think I would say they were some of the most interesting things that I did. And then I felt enough of Gyan, enough of giving advice to people when you should actually be executing, and that's what I said. Let's do this. So that's why. So we have 5 founders. all five of us have been born, brought up, lived in Ghatkopar and Mumbai, brought up together. We always knew कि यार, we'll do something together someday. So three of us started the B2B leg of the business, which is the entire distribution leg, in 2012. In 2015, PharmEasy happened. That's where I quit my job. My fellow co-founder stopped working on his own health fashion tech startup and started this. And we said, let's do this. So from a 5-member team, we are currently looking at upwards of 14,000 people across the country. We cater to every single zip code in India. Uh, we have our own supply chain, our own warehousing, our own delivery fleet. So everything, right? From so the time you place an order, the order hits our system. Um, from there, it goes to from there it goes to our warehouse. It is packed at the warehouse. And uske baad, the last mile delivery that is done to your doorstep is also done through our fleet. So we bought everything in house because we were very, very clear that you cannot control the experience, and in the consumer tech business, in a business which is very consumer centric, it becomes impossible to to give a superlative experience to the consumer until and unless you control full stack. So that's where the entire PharmEasy piece of the pharmacy leg started. Post which we started working on our diagnostics piece. That's where ThyroCare happened. We do a lot of work in the doctor space as well. So we are India's largest teleconsultation platform. We connect consumers to doctors and get consultation done. The idea is to solve for end-to-end healthcare. The idea is very simple. If food can be delivered, if fashion can be delivered home, why not healthcare? And you'll be surprised, right? I think when you look at the evolution of any country, there are 2 or 3 sectors that start first. Those are the pillars of any country, post independence, etc., etc. I think first, all manufacturing starts, right? Because that's bare essentials, etc., etc. You have food, you have clothing, you have healthcare, you have education, right? I think we were very surprised when we were doing our analysis. I think in healthcare and education, there's hardly been any innovation. That's what you see over the last 2 to 5 years. A lot of innovation started picking up. So we were at the right place at the right time. When we started, there were 25 other players, all delivering medicines at home. I think we stuck there and we said, all your medicines at the best possible price, always on time. It was a simple offering that we offered to our folks. And I think that really stuck about to our consumers. So even today, right, in terms of our industry, in terms of supply chain, we have the most complicated supply chain amongst all industries. So just think about it. It's, and to give context to everybody, how we describe our business is, think about Swiggy. You want to order food from Swiggy, but you're not placing an order with the food items that you need. You're clicking a photograph of the dining table and saying, "Iske upar jo bhi khana hai, wo leke aao." Right? That's what the complexity of our business is. So people send us photographs of prescriptions, images. We need to decode them, figure out where will we get it, at what price, at what discount, what margins can we make, how much delivery charge do we need to take, etc., etc., and figure it out and deliver it within 24 hours. That's what our earlier promise was. We are now moving towards 4 hours, very soon towards 2 hours, and this is pan India. And the preferences of people, even in medicines, are as diverse as the preferences of people for food. So if you go to North India, the food preferences are very different from the southern part. That's what even with medicines is. Doctors prefer very different products in very different geographies in the country, and that's the interesting piece when it comes about. It's very, very interesting to see that people have a very different notion of how healthcare should be dealt with, and that's where the expertise lies. That's where we come into play, and that's where the experience begins, and that's where we can tell people that irrespective of what you need, we will ensure um that we are there. And I think that really struck a chord. So currently catering to all 19,000 habitable pin codes uh, in India, um, catering to almost, I mean, we've now catered to almost 5 million families. We on an average save roughly 600 to 700 crores on healthcare spends for our consumers. That's the kind of impact that we deliver as of now. And yeah, just expanding. So now we are looking into diagnostics, going into e-consults. The idea is to provide a one-stop solution for all healthcare OPD needs. And it's just fascinating how people have come to really like the services and really take it as a way of them using it as a part of their healthcare requirement. So I think that's the basic introduction that I thought I would like to give. We have a fairly decently sized tech team, fairly decently sized finance team. We are always on the lookout for great people who can come and uh, join hands, and we can work together. Um yeah, so currently 26 warehouses across the length and breadth of the country, and around 14,000 people currently employed. So yeah, looking forward to the next stage. I think the last 5 to 6 years have been fascinating, and let's see how it goes from there.
Yeah. Uh, so now I request Amit Cheda to start with the question.
Yeah, Dhaval bhai, it was really amazing to understand the in quick span, like you have been able to reach across entire place in India. Like you mentioned, you have been virtually been delivering medicines across all the possible pin codes in India, and that's really amazing. So the idea of this program was to have a more interactive session. So there are some lot of, we thought we'll have a more question answer in form of discussion. So there are a few questions which we thought to understand from you, like it will help be helpful for all the young professionals. Now we understand you have done your MBBS degree, and like when professionals generally do all kind of studies, they very few become entrepreneur. So how was the journey throughout the entrepreneurship, and what's kind of your mind going on inside, like to become a entrepreneur as such?
So yeah, uh, yeah, this question should not come from गुज्जू कच्ची मारवाड़ी people यार. मतलब ये तो
Absolutely.
मतलब अपने लोगों के खून में. I mean, this is in our blood. In fact, I still remember the day I got back home with a McKinsey offer, and it was a dream job on campus. So
Right.
just two people got it from my entire batch, and I got back home. All my friends are there. It was kind of a celebration, and my father asked the first question was, "Acha, after doing all this, abhi naukri karega?" And I am like, matlab, it's a fantastic place to work. And he said, "अरे हाँ ठीक है, but अपना धंधा तो धंधा तो करना पड़े type, and I think that's it just comes naturally to all of us, right? And
Right.
I think the independence and the joy of building something of your own is unparalleled. Be it your own, maybe like a own CA firm, maybe it's just a consulting venture, maybe it's providing advisory services. I think the independence and the joy of doing something of your own versus a 9 to 5 is just fascinating. And I don't think once you've done this and just dealt with the pace at which startups operate, or um, the pace at which things can roll out for you, I don't think there's going back ever.
Correct.
So yeah.
So, but how this idea came to have a online pharmacy? Because generally what happens, we whenever there's a doctor prescription, the doctor prescription is the key to get a medicine. But getting an idea like I want to have an online store for pharmacy. How does this kind of idea came up?
So as I said, we were very clear. Yes, if everything can be delivered at home, why not medicines and healthcare services and products? Uh, so we were just figuring it out, and it was like, while India, you'll be surprised. India has the largest number of retail pharmacy stores anywhere in the world per capita basis or per kilometer basis. Um, so let me ask you. So in the pharma supply chain, you have the manufacturers, you have a CNF agent. This is more from a taxation or billing standpoint. Then you have the pharma distributors, and then you have the retailers, and then you have the consumers. Uh, in India, there are 60,000 pharma distributors, and there are 900,000 pharma retailers. Um how many do you think, Amit, in the pharma distributors might be there in the West? Let's say in the US. Just a random guess.
No, really, absolutely no clue on that.
Just make a guess, yeah. I know you'll be wrong. That's why I'm asking you.
25,000, 20,000 or something.
So just four.
Oh,
See, that's the power of consolidation, and that's the power of that's how fragmented the Indian ecosystem has been, and the cost of this fragmentation is borne by the consumer. When you have multiple hands getting changed, it just becomes very difficult for the consumer to get the benefit of everything that they should. And that's where we said, here there's so much merit in stepping in and consolidating the space. That's where we started integrating distributors and retailers and doctors. I think that's how it all started, and very, I mean, luckily for us, I think it all worked out.
correct, correct. No, even like when you were telling me this, I realized that now there'll be more than 20-25 online pharmacy store, and there are some. I think Tata also owns one of the 1mg thing. I think owned by Tata, and they are big in cash cow basically. So what kind of core value differentiate you with the pharmacy with the other kind of because we know your success story, and there are a lot of which has shut down also over the period. So what have been your core value which is driving your valuation and all?
So yeah, see, valuation at the end of the day is a derived number. It's not. I mean, valuation is not the benchmark that you should be after. But I think just the sheer execution capabilities that we had at our end, and the focus on customer experience. I think on a consumer business, if the focus is not your consumer, I think nothing else works, nothing else survives. And I think that's something that we were very, very clear right from day one, that if at all there has to be something that works, it has to be, I mean, the consumer at the end of the day should get what he needs. Otherwise, it's consumers will not come back. So as I said, our value proposition was very simple: all your medicines always on time at the best possible price. So when we told this even to our investors, they were like, "Arey, matlab, isme kya bada baat hai?" Right? And I mean, you are delivering medicines, so you should deliver all. You should deliver them always on time and at the best possible price. And I said, no, that's just easier said than done. So for example, the pharma supply chain in India, there are 130,000 SKUs that are in circulation. That's the highest for any industry in the country. Um, for somebody to stock these, so a local mom and pop store keeps roughly 500 to 1,000 SKUs in their store. It's just impossible for somebody to plan for 130,000. And that's where analytics, technology, supply chain expertise, domain understanding really comes into play. And that's what we are after.
Okay. Now, even like as we understand that it's a very highly regulated industry. Pharma industry, medicines are very highly regulated. We can often see a lot of local chemists also get shut down because of the non-compliance. How it been government challenges and how the regulation have been on this mark?
See, regulation. See, innovation will always precede regulation. So I think that's something, and especially in the finance space, this is the norm, right? So be it cryptocurrencies, be it just modes of payments, etc. I think innovation will always precede regulation, and that's something that you should always be prepared about. That's something that you should always plan for. कि यार मतलब regulatory hurdles तो आएंगे, and that's fine. I think see, think of it like I think if the regulation was very crystal clear right from day one, I don't think we would have been able to stand against Amazon or a Flipkart when we started. I think we were very young at that point of time, very small, and we would have just died
if somebody like Amazon would have decided to spend say 500 crores on just building a pharmacy business. The benefit of the regulatory uncertainty was that we got time to build business the right way at the right pace and do things that were right. So I think regulation or lack of regulation isn't always bad. But I mean, obviously, we would have loved to have a better regulatory framework, but very soon. Fingers crossed.
Perfect, perfect. So last over the 5-7 years which you've been there, how have been your journey? Like, you have been always seen up, or there have been downs, and there's some discouraging moments, and how you overcome those kind of moments.
So yeah, see, I tell this to everybody, and that's not very encouraging, especially coming from somebody like us who are founders. I think, see, entrepreneurship is not for everybody, and I'm saying it. I mean, eh, in a good way. I think it's not as glamorous as it seems. It's not as interesting as it seems. I think at the end of the day, it's all the same. Wherein there are struggles, there are days wherein you feel everything is going to die, just close. I think why did you even start this in the first place? You see, the first and foremost criteria of being an entrepreneur is to be able to sleep well at night without knowing what is going to hit you tomorrow. There might be a bus, there might be a train, there might be a cyclone coming your way, but you should just be able to take it in your stride. And that's something that does not come naturally to everybody, and there's nothing right or wrong about it. There's nothing positive or negative. It's just a way of life. So you should be comfortable with this way of life versus anything else. That is important. I think for me, I think what we value, and amongst the founders, we value is, I think, a lot of independence versus anything else, right? The ability to make your own decisions, the ability to define your own output and your own pace of working is something that, and at the end of the day, a startup is like steroids 24/7, right? You're always full of energy. You have to like deliver. Everything is always delayed. So once you get used to that pace of operations, or the kind of work that you get to enjoy as a founder, I don't think it's ever going back. So yeah, so while it has its fair share of things that people don't like about, but there are things that you really can look forward to. So yeah.
So then, how, like, a lot of people will like to understand, how do you manage your personal life with the professional life? Then, your family times. How you guys all manage these things?
So let me put it this way. See, that's why having founders as who are friends first always helps. So I think for us, it's like our wives, our friends, all of us have just grown up together. I think that's for us, it's a very closely knit circle, a closely knit group that is extremely well bonded. I think that's our strength. That's something that we really like, and I think that's really solves for a majority of our issues. Um, yeah, so I think that's a way to solve it. But otherwise, yeah, I think see, at the end of the day, work-life balance is something that you have to solve for. I don't think anybody else can. I think you as an individual has to really solve for it, and you can. I think it's not as difficult as it seems.
Perfect. And we've been hearing this a lot of the times. Like, you came in and you acquired MedLife, one of the competitors. Again, last year I think you have acquired Thyrocare also. It's been like a startup acquiring a listed company altogether. So how this has journey happened, and I think it was the fastest deal had to happen. So how it could quickly you could manage, and how all this stuff moved on.
So that's what I said, right? That's the beauty of having your own startup. I think you can see for us it's impossible to operate at the pace, say, at which a very mature organization operates at. In fact, we are very scared and skeptical at times that we don't want to become bureaucratic, or we don't want to become how a mature organization will become somewhere down the line. Yes, there should be structure, there should be processes, but at the end of the day, decision making, the pace of decision making has to be such that you really enjoy what you do. and there are opportunities that are there are opportunities in life which are not available forever. It's more like there will be a short window and you need to really act. And I think that's what something that we really take pride in, is just the pace at which we can take decisions and move. And that has helped us. That has helped us along the way. That has helped us in doing things the right way, and that shows results most often than not.
Perfect, perfect. Now, there are a lot of chartered accountants. We are young chartered accountants. Would like to understand what kind of role chartered accountants would have played in your success story, like in accounting, maybe in taxation, or maybe valuation or something. How have been the contribution of chartered accountants?
Oh, it's been quite crazy, yeah. So I think, as I said, we don't understand all of these that you guys have to offer. So like most of the times, and the laws in the country are also at times so fascinating that you tend to, like, for example, a CA certificate is needed, a 281 report is needed for most of the transactions that we do. A certified accountant needs to certify a valuation report. I think things that we could have never done without a finance organization guiding us. Think about it. Um, you know, uh, when we started our first diligence, and this was KPMG doing it for us, and we were all over the place. I think we never thought that there is so much to our MIS and our books never spoke to each other. I think we've had a terrible time managing our own. Thanks to our current CFO, our current financial controller, people who came in with like massive experience, who've been able to now sort it out. But otherwise, I think we would have just died. I think we would have just not been able to manage. So, a few things that I tell all the CAs in our company as well. I think uh, very critical that early on in your career as well, you look at business finance or start getting involved in business finance with which is, I would say, very different from audit, taxation, which are obviously bread and butter and you need to know. But I think business finance is something. I think somebody who does business finance well, um, there is a massive dearth of talent um, in this space. You won't believe it, on our campus, which is Excel as well, which is an MBA campus. There are people who, there are recruiters who just come in and just like hound CAs with an MBA degree, because the aspiration of these guys is to uh, understand business finance well. So I think the best CFOs are people. There was a saying in the past, and which is changing recently, that the best CFOs are not CAs. The best CFOs are actually people who understand finance but don't want to get into dirty finance. All the time. So obviously you need to have your fair share of spending time understanding the basics and then solving for other things. But I think the transition at the right time is something that you should look for, because that's something that talent is lesser available, and people with that talent are really appreciated.
Okay, great. You mentioned that you've been able to deliver across all pin codes in India. Now, what's next? Like, what you see next growth potential? Like, you want to expand out of India, or how you see future in this?
Yeah, so we're trying to solve for healthcare, right? As I said. So when I say healthcare, we want to solve for diagnostics, medicine delivery. We want to solve for doctor concerns. I think there's a big opportunity available out there, and we'd like to really dig deep and solve that. I think people have not innovated in healthcare at all, and that's been something which has been very surprising. Uh, I think the way we used to all buy medicines or get a prescription or consult a doctor has remained the same since the last 30-40 years of independence, which is fascinating. I think in a country of our size and scale, for us to not have innovated in something as basic as healthcare really beats all of us. And that's why we feel there's so much that we can do, and that's what we are after.
Lovely. we understand there are, I think, more than like around 5 co-founders you working together. How do you balance your work allocation? How do you manage your difference of opinions will be there, and like all fights and all that. How do you manage those things?
See, I mean, unless you're fighting, you're not doing justice to your company and your investors, right? I think difference of opinion is good. Difference of opinion is something that is very valuable when you're building an organization bottom up, right? Because things things if everybody thinks the same way, there will not be much innovation in general. I think pushing each other comes to us naturally because we are friends first. I think we are all very transparent with each other, and we can be like, as vocal about each other's strengths and weaknesses as anybody else can be. Um and that's something that we feel is our biggest strength. Uh, so I think, yeah, I think we would not have been able to do all the varied things that we do today had it not been for the five of us. I think for just one or two people to do all the different verticals that we've built would have been impossible. So in fact, we are extremely delighted to have five of us and not just have a few.
So you all are like friends from beginning, or how is the is a professional relation? How does it happen?
Yeah, so I think we've just grown up together. So two people were friends in kindergarten. And
Wow.
2 3 of us met in our junior college. 2 3. I mean, so we've just known each other, and the locality helps. So it just we were just lucky, fingers crossed, that things just worked out.
Perfect. So, like you have been many fundraising throughout the life of like 4 5 7 years. There will be number of investors. Those must be having their own board representative. How do you manage all this different investors?
Yeah, see, I think whatever we've done, I think we just have. It's been because we've had the solid backing of our investors. Yeah. So I think the kind of spends or the kinds of money that is required to build a consumer business in India would have not been possible had it not been for the support of these investors. So we have, I think we've just been very blessed and very lucky to have a set of people who uh, who have trusted us with everything that we wanted to do, right from. Right from just taking bold decisions like acquiring MedLife and Thyrocare to decisions like shutting down the MedLife brand and just merging it with PharmEasy. I think it's been a fascinating journey. Um, I think getting the right people is extremely important. Without that, it just becomes difficult in the longer run. So we've just been blessed and lucky, to be honest. Yeah.
Perfect. Now when we have been interacting, I see a lot of people have a lot of questions. So I think I'll have to take some of the questions of the participants also. Now, few have been asking like how do you see PharmEasy is a bit positive, or how is the financial overall position?
No, so see, no consumer business in India makes money in the formative years, right? See, it's just impossible. So there's a change of habit to be done. The entire sector has been operating in a particular way. If you want to change the consumer behavior, you need to really spend on people, processes, branding, etc. So I think profitability is something. So let's put it this way: profitability for us is a switch. We can switch it on when we want. As of now, we have decided to spend money on building the organization and building the brand and changing consumer behavior. That's not to say that we can't make profit. It's just, it's just a preference as of now, and that's why we are raising capital. If we were already profitable, we would not be raising capital that we do, right? So yeah.
Even like Zomato and all that also listed right now. Even I think PharmEasy is also planning to list over the couple of years. Like are this kind of losses and all that? How you see future of this industry? Like in high tech industries. How do you think like what could be the next level for them?
Sorry, I didn't get
So
that.
like this, like if you look at Zomato, they are also making heavy losses are there. Okay.
Correct.
Generally, tech companies are in negative basically. So like still they got a good valuation and all. Okay, so how do you see what kind of value drivers are there, which which are driving them, and what will be the next, investor will definitely look for profits over the period.
See, see, consumer businesses are all about changing behavior. So, for example, if I was to ask everybody on this forum, just go to your Amazon accounts and just tell me the number of orders that you would have placed on Amazon in the last 12 months, you will be amazed by the amount of purchase that we are all now used to doing online versus what we were 3 years back or 5 years back. It takes time, but then the stickiness is so fantastic. You don't need an Amazon ad today for you to go and check it out. You just go there intuitively and just buy. I think that happens over time. That takes a lot of effort, but the capex that tech industries or tech companies like ours have to do. For example, we don't have any physical assets, not as Zomato. Zomato does not have a single restaurant.
Correct.
Uber does not have a single vehicle, but we have the largest fleet currently in the country. So I think so let's put it this way. If you were to plot your expenses to revenues, while your expenses will almost remain fairly constant beyond a point, the revenues will grow exponentially. That's the advantage of having tech companies which are majorly funded by tech, wherein your capex is in technology. Your capex is not in physical assets that need to scale along with scale. I hope you get what I'm saying. So technology is very, very scalable, and does not require linear expenses, which is the beauty of business models like ours. And that's what we want to, and that's what the market is valuing. That's what we value, and that's what the investors value as.
Perfect. So even there are a number of medicines available on on stores. There are some generic medicines are also there. Now, how do you manage your supply chains? It will be so many distributors, so many manufacturers and all. So how do you manage those things then?
So again, that's where technology comes in, analytics comes in. I think the amount of data crunching that we do is just unbelievable. So if you were to come onto the platform and you were to search for medicine for hypertension, the next time you come onto the platform, you will be shown products which link to hypertension. That's the beauty of technology, which a local store can never offer, right? That's the beauty of analytics. That's where so the idea is to have a unique health ID for everybody at our end, wherein we know that Amit comes here, has 3 members in the family. 2 are hypertensive, 1 is diabetic, 1 has some XYZ condition, 1 is a new mom. These are the different products that Amit would like to want from us, and that's something that we can then offer. I think that is very, very different from walking into a local store and just seeing around, wherein the for us the shelf is our app, right? The shelves for us can just change any given point of time versus a normal store that just cannot do it. So that personalization to the T is something that we benefit from, which other people don't. And that's the benefit of having a technology platform which is extremely scalable and can really deliver even in tough times wherein you have 150,000 SKUs.
Perfect. Yes. Now, and there are a lot of questions, and we have really short of time. I'll just couple of more questions I will ask you.
So Amit, just 1 second. So I will have to drop at 9. I have a call starting then.
Okay.
So yeah, I think we can take more
questions. I think going to be a last question then. Any message to chartered accountants? Young chartered accountants are there. How should they plan their entrepreneurship? How they should plan their career going down the line?
See, I think I tell this to everybody. See, I did not start, or we did not start PharmEasy because I was a doctor, right? I think it just happened because we identified a problem that existed and we said, let's solve it in the best possible way we can. I don't think being a CA restricts you to start something in the finance domain or maybe like a accounting domain, etc. It's not required. I think you can have, in fact, the numerical strength that CAs have, the grip on numbers that you guys portray, that can help in any domain. So I think, and see, the right time to start up is, I mean, if at all you want to, I think is today. See, trust me, there will never be a right time. There will never be a day wherein the burden is less and the opportunities are more. You'll always have your next big appraisal waiting. That you'll always have your next big uh, uh, promotion waiting. You'll always have your um, uh, family responsibility, or something to pay off. I think the best time to start up is today, because tomorrow the difficulty metric just goes up, and it will just keep going up, which is something that I tell everybody. So I think if you want to, I think it's okay to fail earlier rather than later. And whenever you have a question about when is the right time, you should think about how would it be 5 years down, and what would I be 5 years down the line, and you will always get the answer that it will always be more tougher. So yeah, I think that's
Yeah, I know. I think it's been an inspiring story you guys have. I think I've been listening third or fourth of the series of lectures. Like, I think you have been KCF also before. You guys have been, and you guys are really inspirational for all of us. It's been an amazing story of you guys had. So I think with this, I really thank you for coming over and guiding these young professionals. And with this, I request Paras Maru to take over the proceedings.
Yeah, thank you, Amit bhai. And first of all, thank you, Dhaval, for accepting our invitation. And I would just like to mention that when we approached Dhaval for the to come as a guest and have a talk with us, without even asking what it will be, he just said के क्या डेट है और क्या टाइम है मुझे बता दो, I will be there. So thank you so much for that, Dhaval. And I request Chintan Savla to propose a vote of thanks to Dhaval.
Thank you, Paris bhai. Thank you, Dr. Dhaval Shah, for the inspiring session you had, and also explaining the business model of PharmEasy. Like, we as an interim young chartered accountants, we were always looking forward to understand how exactly the PharmEasy model works. So thank you for sharing that as well. And so I'll just summarize the key takeaways. Like, we as a young chartered accountants will take away from the session. Like, first of all, I'll talk about, like, for any kind of business driven model. Like, for example, you spoke about the consumer driven model, business model. The consumer is the key, as well as for the client driven model, client is the key. So that is the key takeaway. Like, whatever business model driven it is, like the business which is aiming to, that is the key concept, the key concept over here. Like, consumer driven business, the consumer is the key concept over here. The second I'll talk about, like, we all understand, like, entrepreneurship is a glamorous, like, but as you said, it looks like a glamorous thing, but it's not always glamorous thing. That it's not always interesting. You'll face ups and downs, but your never give up attitude will always encourage you to move ahead and you take it further. And yeah, also about the work-life balance you talked about. So that was a very interesting, and it's very well-known mantra that once you have friends at the workplace, your work environment or work culture suddenly changes. Like, you start enjoying your work, you start enjoying the work culture, and there is a proper work-life balance, which is absolutely a well-known mantra out there. And the last one, which we all will take away with us, is like you quoted. I'll just say what you quoted. In order to have, like, we should sleep peacefully in the night without thinking of future. So that is the key thing. Like, whatever field you are in, be it entrepreneurship, be it practice, or be it industry, you should sleep peacefully without thinking of what is coming next. So that is the one thing which I'll take away with me, and also my fellow colleagues will take away with us. So thank you so much for this inspiring section, and thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you, Dhaval.
Thank you, Dhaval.
Thank you, Dhaval.
Thank you so much
Thank you
for having me here, and thank you so much, Chintan, for summarizing. I didn't know somebody was listening so intently. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you. Yeah,
Have a great
thank
day.
you.
Thank you. Bye.
Yeah. So now youth RRC participants stay in the meeting. on the same link. We will take a 5 minutes break and set up the rooms for group discussion, and then we will start the discussion.